Well, welcome to the Bella Grind Podcast, the place in the space where we like to say it's go time. That means we go after our goals, we go after our dreams, and most importantly, we go after the bag. Today, I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Chef Kimberly, and she is going to talk with us today about all of the things. We've already been talking in the pre-production, and there are just so many things that we're going to unpack today, from entrepreneurship to service to being a podcaster, all of that. We're going to unpack that today. So I want to thank you, Chef, for jumping on with me today so that we can get into all of this girl talk. Now, I told her before, and I've said it to you all before, whenever I'm in this new platform of StreamYard, I am learning as I go. And so I am looking at Chef Kimberly's name, and I already see where I want to fix that. And so I'm going to do that now. I could not, there she is. We have to do her justice. The name is important. She could not sit on this podcast as Kimberly. We must, right, pay her justice. It is Chef Kimberly Houston that is with me today. And I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of transparency. She and I are in the junior league together. And she was actually one of the first people to welcome me into the junior league, but she doesn't remember it. But she was one of the first people to sort of welcome me in. And I was glad that she did, because she is a sister that looks like me. And so that was very important to me when joining the junior league, is for me to connect with women who look like me. And then I ended up meeting her at another junior league event in person. She doesn't remember.
Listen.
She doesn't remember any of that. But see, this is all God. We were supposed to cross paths, and I was supposed to remember so that I could peg you for today. So Chef Kimberly Houston did a post recently where she was very transparent about her journey. And in reading the post, I felt it was God and probably the ancestors like, yep, go and get her, go tag her. And so I reached out to her, and she was gracious enough to join me today. So I want to jump right into this. And I want you to start off first with telling us about your brand and who you are.
Sure. I will try and keep this short. Okay. So I am Chef Kimberly Houston, aka Chef Kimmy Who, across all platforms, and that's just my name shortened. We are not that smart over here. It's just Kimmy Who. That's all. So if you Google me, Google Chef Kimmy Who, and then you'll see all the things. But I am a Le Cordon Bleu trained pastry chef. I have a master's degree in education and instructional design and adult learning, which just means I can write curriculum. I am a homeschooling mom of two. So my oldest is in college. He is at the Boston Conservatory on a full scholarship.
Yes.
And that's super important. And then the youngest is 16, so still homeschooling her. And I recently transitioned into food photography. And so that is currently where I am, but it's about to flip into something else too. Because I've always been a teacher. And so I'm one of those people who understands there are avenues and ways to make money that people don't know about. And so after having a 6-figure year last year doing food photography, I was like, there are not a lot of people who look like me who do this. And so I'm currently on a mission to introduce women of color, even men of color. Like, there's just nobody who looks like me doing this. And I was like, that's because y'all don't know this exists. So I was going to pull the veil back. We're not going to gatekeep information and share what's happening in a digital space with people when it comes to food.
Okay, so you've already said so many things. One, the service part, right? Where I like what you say about not being a gatekeeper of the knowledge, right?
I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, when you're trying to climb the corporate ladder and you want people to mentor you, and you're like, what would you tell your younger self, right? Like,
Yep.
what would you go back and do differently? And then people don't want to tell you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, just because you had to suffer doesn't mean everybody behind you had to suffer.
Right.
And for me, that's been like a theme in my life. The suffering that I went through so somebody else didn't have to.
Ooh.
So we're not going to gatekeep information.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask me a question, I'm going to answer you, and you better be prepared for the answer. So that's how I do everything in life.
Oh, but I'm sure that's why your business will be blessed. Will be blessed too. And I said that to one of my sorors who I was actually interviewing, and she was sort of sharing the same thing that you're saying, in that she's not hesitant to share information with others who, are also trying to advance. But we know too that, unfortunately, among our people, when I say our people, Black people or African American people, sometimes we can get to a place where we don't want to share the knowledge. We want to harbor everything because we see it as a competition, right? But the two of us being Black women, that's number one. And then Black women who are willing to serve in that way by just sharing our knowledge and helping the next. That's big, Chef Kimberly. I appreciate that about you. So thank you, because I have a lot of questions I'm going to ask, and I know you'll be willing to share, and just know that reciprocity is key, and I do the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking before, and I said, Black women, to me, we are the masters at pivoting. And you just shared that you are now in a space where you are doing food photography.
Yes.
But that's not where it started, right?
Nope.
So let's go back to the beginning, because you were a chef in a different capacity then, and you had to rebrand and refocus. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I went to Le Cordon Bleu almost 10 years ago, so maybe 9 years ago at this point, and graduated top of my class in baking and pastry. Loved it, like literally loved everything about it. I went to culinary school. And was not supported. I was told I was like walking away. I dropped a master's program to go to culinary school.
Okay.
And the response I got was, you dropped out of school to play with frosting. And I was like, yes.
Yes, I did. Right.
Yeah.
Unapologetically, if that's how you want to say it, yes, I did.
Yeah. And that was kind of the end of that. There wasn't a lot of support. I was a single mom, 2 kids. I met my now ex-husband during that time of starting school. And so that was a very wild journey, and what I like to call the lowest point of my adult life. Because I was like, early 30s, you don't really understand how much more life you have to live.
Right.
And I felt like everything that people had said about me was true. So when you have a baby at 21 by a preacher, and then have another baby at 25, everybody got something to say.
Yeah.
But there was no, let's support this. Let's teach her more. Let's find out who she is on the inside. It was, you are now their mother, and that's your job. And so when I went to culinary school, that was the first real big pushback against all of that. So then I did a birthday cake. And I didn't, so this is before cell phones were like wonderful.
Yeah.
We were in Alabama, and my daughter was cheering, and I got this message on my cell phone that was like, we need a birthday cake for 2 celebrities, and it's 90s themed. And I was like, cool. So the people texting me were like, can you have it done on this day? Can you deliver it to this club? And I was like, sure. I had terrible phone service. I had absolutely no idea who this cake was for.
Yeah.
Until 2 days later when I got back home. And it was a joint birthday party for Q from 112 and RL from Next.
Okay. Okay.
And I was like, did I just agree to do this?
Uh-huh.
I can't get out of it. I have to produce.
Yep, you have to
And
show up.
so I didn't tell anybody. Like, I didn't say anything because I was like, if I screw this up,
Right.
I'll never hear the end of it. So I did a life-size turntable. And I mean, like, it took 3 people to carry it in. It was huge. And the two of them fought over who was gonna post the photo first. That night, my whole life changed. My whole life changed. Like, I was just, me. I was Chef Kimmy who on Instagram. No big deal. Nobody knew me.
Yeah.
They posted the cake. And my followers, I was like, oh, what's happening? My phone was ringing. People were like, whoa, how did you get this? And I was like, God. I don't know. Like, nobody believes that I accepted this and didn't know who it was for. I had no idea. Yeah. So that started the Chef Kimmy Who madness among Atlanta celebrities. And it continued for years up until I stopped. Like, the last cookie order I did was for the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Was it Portia?
It was. So I did Portia's gender reveal.
I thought I remember seeing it.
I did Portia's gender reveal. I did Shamia's baby shower. Okay. And then, of course, like, Shamia and I were like this. I was like, oh my God, I love you. So I was doing all the things for her. And so her last order with me was for their Christmas party. They did like a white elephant party or something. Yeah. And she gave everybody custom cookies. Okay. And it ended up being on the season finale. And I was like, oh, well, that's a great way to close out my career. Who knew? Yeah. So that's what I did. And actually, her daughter's birthday cake was one of the cakes, like the weekend that I was injured and had to close. It was a cake for her. Okay. And so it was, I was able to push through.
Okay. To get her cake.
Yeah. So we delivered a wedding cake. Actually, let me back up. Because you have to hear how this happened, because I don't think people understand when you say you got hurt. Yeah. This is what happened. So Thanksgiving morning, I woke up. This is Thanksgiving 2020. My husband and I had recently decided we were no longer going to be married. So this was my first Thanksgiving as me. Right. Yeah. And I was like, Mommy, I want to do the turkey. I feel grown enough to do the turkey this year. Okay. And so she was like, cool. So I got up. I was all happy. I'm making the turkey. By the time the turkey came out of the oven, I almost dropped it. And so I was screaming for my son. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I can't hold the turkey. It's too heavy. Can you take it out? So by the end of the night, I could no longer hold the cup. The next morning, right? All this is just, it's all happening at one time, right? So the next morning when I woke up, I could not get dressed. And I was like, what is happening? I couldn't turn doorknobs to get out of the door. It was difficult to drive. Like, I was like, what is this? Right? So that Friday we had a wedding. So then I got to rest a little bit on Saturday. And then Sunday I had to deliver a carved cake for Shamia's daughter's birthday. And it took forever. Like, I had been doing cakes for 8 years. I could do this cake in 30 minutes. It took me almost 4 hours. Oh, wow. And I was like, something's wrong. So I was able to get into the doctor that Monday morning. And I was like, I can't feel my fingers. And so the nurses were like, we need an x-ray of your neck. And I said, I can't feel my fingers. Right. And they were like, we need an x-ray of your neck. And so 2 hours later, the doctor walked in the room and she was like, I have good news and bad news. And I was like, okay. She was like, good news, I know what's wrong with you. And I was like, great. And she was like, bad news, you need to close your business effective immediately. Wow. Huh? You want me to do what? The first week of December? You want me to do what? Right. He was like, you need to close your business effective immediately, because for years I have been doing very detailed, intricate work with icing and looking down all the time. There's disc degeneration in my neck. So she was like, you can't do this anymore. Like, you really have to let this go. And I was like, it's like Christmas is coming up. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. I was like, I have like 3 more orders to do. I cannot close. She was like, I'm gonna give you a steroid pack for 7 days. You got 7 days. That's it. And when those 7 days were up, it was like Cinderella. I was back to not feeling my fingers. And so that was the end of the bakery. And I spent 7 months in physical therapy. Holding a camera, it was heavy. And so I was like, I wonder if I can apply the same principles I've learned from photography on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And I could.
Okay.
And so we did not skip a beat. Like when I say not a bill was not, like everything was paid, everything was fine. In January, it was my highest grossing month. I made $12,000 in January. And I remember calling my bookkeeper and saying, I'm sorry, my puppy is sitting right here. Can you? I was like, I said, I made more money this month than I made all last year. What do we do? And she was like, you did what? And I was like, I made more money this month than I made all of last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so she was like, okay, let's start putting together a plan. Like at that point, I needed a financial team because month after month, it kept happening. And so I was like, this is new. Like, this is super new. So I was in physical therapy. I was going to a therapist because my divorce was coming up. And those proceedings were 4 days after our wedding anniversary. We got divorced.
Yeah.
And I was like, the irony of all of this.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, it was one of those things where if you tell me I can't do something, that is going to light a fire under me. And the last thing that I was told was, you're not a real photographer. And well, you can't tell me, you know, I just flew back home from teaching over 100 people how to do photography over the weekend. So I think I did okay. I think I did.
I know you did. Like, clearly you did, right? Yeah. You know, I mean, clearly you did. And that, I mean, that is, it's interesting how all of it happened for you. And I want to go back because you said it was hard for me to hold the camera. So are you saying that you then started to like use your phone to get the job done?
Yeah. So like the way cell phones are created now, the cameras are phenomenal. Like they really are. Yeah. So if you're using it for digital work, it's beautiful. But then when Apple was like, you can take our cameras and we can blow it up on a billboard, that changed the game for photography, right? Okay. So I was like, well, let me just try this out and see if people can tell the difference between when I shoot with my cell phone and when I shoot with the DSLR. And to this day, they still don't know. They still don't know.
And that was the one game changer for you in the middle of this trauma. So you have this happening to you.
Yep.
You know, and of course, being a Black woman, one, and then a mom, and like you said, you're going through a divorce, you're thinking, okay, I've got to still make it. Okay, because I'm all I got right now.
Right. With the kid leaving to go to college.
In the
middle of a pandemic.
You did say 2020.
I did. We're talking pre-vaccinations. No, ma'am. All this went down at the top of the pandemic. And I was just like, what? And my therapist fired me. Like, she was like, you don't need me. And I was like, yes, I do. And she said, you just need to accept the fact that despite everything happening in your life, you're thriving. Don't be apologetic about it. And I was like, but, and she was like, nope. People have been telling you your whole life what you cannot do, and you're right now showing them, yes, I can.
What you
like,
can.
Accept that. Yeah. She was like, live in that moment. Be okay with that. And she really fired me. She was like, yeah, you don't need to talk to me anymore. You're fine.
It was all by design, though. And like when I'm listening to your story, it seems like it was all by design. I don't want to wish divorce on anybody.
Right.
sickness and all of that, right? But it's the
Totally
way that
unexpected.
it was designed. And this
Yeah.
one thing changed your life.
It did. A cell phone. I now have a 6-figure business taking pictures on my phone, and now traveling and teaching people how to take pictures on their phone, because it's not really about the photography itself. Like, that part is easy, right?
Mhm.
Like, once you learn how to ride a bike, you know how to ride a bike.
Right.
You know how to take a picture. What
Mhm.
you have to understand is the mindset that goes behind this. And
Mm.
so what I realized recently was that I did so much mindset work over the last 2 years that when I teach, I can't help but to meet you on that level.
Mm.
So, like, when people are like, but what about, and I'm like, why are you giving your energy to that? I'm just trying to that's not a problem.
Yeah.
If you take a beautiful photo and somebody steals it, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Why would you put the energy into thinking that you're gonna learn a new skill to advance yourself?
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, I can teach you how to have a 6-figure business. Why are you worried about somebody stealing your photo?
You better come through, sis.
And when you talk to people like that, the light bulb goes off. Like, wait,
Yeah.
why are you worried about that? Like, it's really not something to worry about.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not important.
Mm-hmm.
They stole your photo, but did you get paid? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, where's the disconnect?
Yeah.
Did you get paid for that photo? Yes.
Yeah.
So why do you care?
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. And I'm learning here recently. I learned about all of the stuff that goes into photography, and then using a photography, and then who owns the rights, to it.
Yeah.
Even once a customer pays for it, like, I just learned a lot about that recently when I was, having to work on my own brand and working on the branding campaign. But I like the way you just go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's huge. People don't ever think about it.
You really don't. I know I never did. I never thought about that. But I like the twist that you have. Why are you worried about it? You control what you can control.
Yeah.
Right. That's and right now you control this training and this teaching I'm about to give you.
Exactly.
These dollars. It's that part for me.
And I think for me, I break things down on a very human level, right?
Yeah.
Like, people were telling me, I taught 6 classes back to back this weekend, and the 8 a.m. class came in pumped and ready to go. And I was like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Y'all real excited. And they were like, you know what? We thought this was going to be real technical. Like, you were going to be talking about like specs and giving numbers. We never took a picture. We never made it to that part of the class.
Wow.
And because I realized that in order to teach you a skill, I got to have your buy-in first. You walked into the room expecting one thing. Number one, you weren't expecting this. You were not expecting to see my black face when you walked in the room. That was number one.
Yeah.
Just based at this particular conference, I'm the only woman of color that was teaching. So
the only one?
The only. It's okay. It won't be the last time.
Yeah.
I was the only one, though.
Because I'm very intrigued over here. Like,
Yeah. And I'm not the one who brought that up to me. There were women who don't look like me who were like, are you aware? And I was like, I'm aware. That's why I took the job. Because I understood my assignment. That if I go and do well, it's going to open doors to people coming after me. So that's fine. And I was like, I need their buy-in. Because right now you don't believe that you can make money off of photos on your cell phone. So now I need to get your buy-in. You need to like me and understand that I'm incredibly educated. I have a master's degree in education. And I'm a photographer, and I'm a chef. There's nothing you can ask me right now where I can't answer your question.
Oh, you better know what you know.
And it went like this all day long. So by the time we got to my 2 p.m. class, I had crashers. There were people sitting on the floor. It was standing room only. because people had been talking throughout the day during the conference, like, you need to go take her class.
Yeah.
Like, no, she's going to teach you 6 different ways to make money off. Go take her class. And they were like, we thought this was a photography course. That's what you thought.
That's what you thought, right?
I'm going to show you how to take 6 photos. That's all you need. 6.
That's it.
That's it.
Sis, how do I start for the class? Do you take novice? So
I do. I have a full online course. I have a mastering cell phone photography course. It's only $197. And it's up on my website. I recorded that before Christmas, I think. Just professionally recorded. It's got all the things in it. But I was like, this is something people don't take seriously, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, content creators just, wake up and do things. No, they don't.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's a full-time job, but I have boundaries. So what I've learned, like hardcore boundaries. So what I've learned over the last year is I'm not working more than 20 hours a week. I have boundaries. Like y'all not gonna stress me out. I know how to get the job done. Like, people have to think about it this way. If Walmart pre-COVID, I'm just saying Walmart, any company, needed to do a marketing campaign, you had to hire a photographer, a food stylist, a chef. You needed a videographer. You needed people who are like your runners. I do all that by myself in my house downstairs. I'm incredibly marketable.
Yeah.
People, you don't need all of that. I can teach you how to do that from your house.
I'm signing up.
Mostly because people are just like, it can't be that easy. I didn't say it was easy, because you have to think about how I had to learn. I had to learn in the middle of a pivot, not in I didn't come at this from, oh, photography is interesting, let me learn everything I need to know.
Right.
I came at this as, I'm the only person in my house paying bills. I need to figure out how to make this work for me. Yeah. I could only work a maximum of 4 hours a day, 12 hours a week when I first started.
Yeah.
I was making $12,000 a month. So you have to learn how to be innovative, how to be creative, how to sell yourself. And people kept saying that over the weekend. They were like, do you have a degree in marketing? And I was like, no. And they were like, you have sold me. She was like, I will buy anything you have. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
I would never tell you to do that. You need to take for me what's going to work for you in your household.
Yeah.
And go from there. And so when people understand that I'm not going to sell you something to sell you something, but I make it very clear, you've never met an old pastry chef.
That you haven't. I've never met one. Let me say that.
You've seen the cake lady at church? That's 85. But sis is not a Le Cordon Bleu trained pastry chef.
Yeah.
You have never come in contact with an old, classically trained pastry chef. They don't exist.
They don't. They can't. I've never seen it. I mean, you're right.
The amount, we stand on our feet 18 hours a day. It's not sustainable in the industry, and people don't ever think about that, right? And I was texting my son, and I was like, they are losing their minds over me right now. And he said, you just went from being the help, because that's how I felt as a pastry chef.
Yeah. Okay.
To being a keynote speaker in your classroom. And I was like, oh, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. I always felt like, you bring the cake, you bring the cookies, you bring the cupcakes. Everything is beautiful, right? Everybody loves you. It's what you do. It's your gift that you're sharing with other people. But when I closed my business, all of the clients said, who do you recommend?
They were looking for you. Yeah. See? Yeah.
Their life kept going. And so when I have that very real conversation with people who are still in the sweets industry and have not thought about what's next, I always ask, When was the last time you saw an old pastry chef?
Girl, you might have said, when I say I've never thought about it like that until you just said it. Like I haven't seen that. But you know what? That makes me think about all of the different industries, right? I need to start thinking about who I'm seeing in those industries and what the age.
Yes. Right? What's the longevity here?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a master's degree for a reason.
Yeah.
I knew that time was coming. I was like, I physically cannot keep doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to work. Now, I wasn't trying to get hurt. Like, that was not a part of the story. Yeah. It was not a part of the plan.
Yeah.
I wanted to go out when I went out.
Yeah.
But because I was forced out, and even like the first time I talked to a group of people about this, everybody in the room was crying. And I was like, why are y'all crying? Like, I'm fine. And they were like, no, we're thinking about us.
Yeah.
Because no one has ever said that. Nobody has ever taken the time to say, what's your next career? What are you doing when this is over? You can't do this when you're 65. You can't. I used to like do 13 to 15 orders a weekend.
That's a lot of hours.
Who is doing
and wear and tear on your body?
It is. And you can't, like, what's your health insurance going to do? Tell you go to a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Like, I have a lifelong thing happening now because of my job. Yeah. But because I'm my boss, there's no workers' comp for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do you do? And so for me, I was like, okay, people, and I've taught a lot of kids who've gone on like Master Chef and stuff like that. Yeah. And I was like, this is cute when they're this age.
Yeah.
But what parents loved the most when they brought their kids to me was I would be like, your kid is going to be a surgeon. And they're like, this is a cake decorating class. It is. But when I give instructions, I look at how they do things. And your child has a very steady hand with a knife. Your child is making very precise cuts.
Yeah.
It's so focused. I was like, this one, surgeon.
Surgeon. Uh-huh.
And she's like, this is a cupcake class. No, beloved, this is an experience. That's what this is.
This is an experience, yeah. Where God shows up and shows us what the calling is on the child's life.
I say that all the time. I'm like, sweets is just the avenue for me to be introduced to people, but it's never what you think it is.
Ever. Yeah.
If it's in person, it's no, because I'm not going to hold my tongue.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what I see. And I'm like, this is cute for you right now. This is adorable. This is not what you're going to do.
Yeah, forever. It's not something in the long run that you'll still be doing it. It's so interesting that you're saying that because I'm at that point now because I'm an educator too. 24 years in education. And it's time. Let me just leave that there. It's time, right? Yeah. And I just did a post yesterday where I wasn't as transparent as you. I'm trying to get there. I'm going to get there. But I did a post yesterday where, I was honest about the fact that even with this brand, with the Bella Grind brand, because I'm looking at them, just started October 29th with my own personal brand. I've managed my son's brand for years. So you could go back and look at all the things with my son, right? But when it was time for me to pivot and focus on Jan, because I was at a place in my career where I just knew that I was designed for greater. Like it was audible some days, like someone or something is saying that to me. And so I was, just got to a really dark kind of place where I was like, there's something greater for me. I'm being called to do something else. What I'm currently doing with relationships and the job and everything else is just not working, right? But I'm called for something greater. So I went into a space of trying to figure out what it was going to be. And I just took one step, one day. On one of my darkest days, just took one step. And this Bella Grind brand has organically happened, right? And I'm still trying to get to a place where you're saying, you know, you can look at what the thing is that the person has, the quality, the calling, the whatever it is, and say, okay, this is what you will be doing in the long run. I'm still waiting to see through this work right here what that is for me. I don't know where the Bella Grind brand is going to end. I don't know where Jan by herself, how my story is going to end, right? But when I say I find joy and purpose every day now in getting up and moving towards this part, talking to Black women, hearing their stories, giving them a platform, allowing them to be able to share those stories. And I'm talking about everyday women. I'm not talking about the celebrities that you serve, although I am not trying to diminish them or their experience in any way, right? Because they too, especially the ones that look like me, they still suffer from Black women's plight as well, right? And I shouldn't say suffer, but they have a Black woman's plight.
Right.
But it's always those of us, you know, who are just the everyday women who are ignored. You know, our stories are not told.
Nope.
You know, but
or just the cute part.
Just the cute for that part. You know, but there's so much quality and character in, you know, when you pull back the layers of our stories. And so that's what I want the platform to be. And so however or whatever I'm called to do with this platform, I can't even wait to see what it's going to be. Right. But I know it did not stop with education. It doesn't stop with, you know, just being in the education field. And then I'm supposed to just bow out and did my time, and you know, that's not what it's supposed to be for me. So it's good that you're saying what you're saying, and I believe you're saying it for me as well. No, I'm serious. Like I'm telling you, I was supposed. That's why God and the ancestors were like, "Ma'am, go get her, go and tap her. That's who you're talking to next."
Yeah, it's a thing, and I think like I had to get to the point of being okay with who I am, right? Because people, and I have so much love for my ex-husband. I need to put this out there, okay? So we did not divorce like in a nasty way. It was in we have grown apart and we're going different ways. And I told him I needed to build my name.
Ooh.
And he was like, I understand that, right? And so as we went through the process, like once my name was changed back to Kimberly Houston, I felt like I had an identity crisis when I was his wife. My name changed. I didn't know who she was. I did not, like, I did the things I thought you're supposed to do when you're married. But it didn't sit with me.
Right.
And so, like, people don't understand, but I'm like, no, I had an identity crisis. And when my name changed back,
you found freedom.
Like, all the doors were open. It was like there was no way, because now I'm building this on my own merit. I know who I am. I know who Kimberly Houston is. Like, man, this girl been together forever. I know her. And so I know what her capabilities are. I know that she has been hiding in the shadows. She has just been sitting back, waiting and watching. And I was like, we're going to do this on my terms. This has nothing to do with anybody else in my family. Most people in Atlanta know me because of my son. And I'm like, this ain't about him. I did my part for him. He's in school on a full scholarship. He will be on Broadway. He is doing his thing. I did my part as his mother.
That's
but
right.
Kimberly, as a woman, that transformation started to happen so rapidly for me. And it started in the junior league. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go, you know, they were like, can you come do like a little lunch and learn type of thing? And I was like, sure. And I knew that Portia's thing was getting ready to be aired on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So that made me like interesting to teenagers, right? Like they could care less that I was a trained pastry chef. They didn't care. They was like, wait, you was on Real Housewives on Sunday. And I was like,
That was me.
For 2 seconds, yes, you saw my face.
But you were there. That's all that matters.
I was in the building with all the people.
Yeah.
And so that made me super interesting to these young ladies at this safe house. And then I got a call where they were like, we want to do more work with you because they won't stop talking about you. Yeah. And I was like, but I didn't really tell them anything. Like, we only talked about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And they were like, yeah, but now they want you to come teach them how to cook. And I was like, all right, let's try this out. And so I started doing that. And I was teaching young ladies who've been rescued from sex trafficking how to cook. Mm-hmm. And it was fun, right? Like, it was, every time I went, the girls were super excited. And I was the only person they would ever leave alone. Yeah. So typically there's another person in the room with you. So they would leave me with them in the kitchen. They're like, you're good? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, we good. And that's when we started conversation. And the more I listened to them, they were like, you know, when did you start cooking? And I was like, when I was like 3 or 4 with my grandmother. And they were like, wow, really? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you telling me nobody engaged y'all in the kitchen when you were kids? Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, that's why we asked for you to come and teach us. Y'all are teenagers. Yeah. You haven't been in the kitchen with adults, like, talking to you, teaching you. And they're like, no. And I said, okay. So we did this for 2 years. And then one of the days was a Christmas party. Mm-hmm. And we did cookies. And one of the girls was preparing to go home. And she was like, did you give us the recipe for this? And I was like, I did. And she was like, great. I'm going to use this so that I can talk to my mom and I can let her know what I've been through, because I've been trying to figure out how am I going to tell her what happened. And I was like, I got to go. And they were like, Kim, are you okay? And I was like, I need a minute. And I was in my car, like, weeping that 10 years ago, I was told you dropped out of your master's degree to play with sugar, to play with frosting. And that same sugar and frosting is now being used as a point of entry for a young woman who was sold in sex trafficking.
Come on, somebody.
Like, when you look at the dynamic of that and you're like, now, had I listened to people,
would have missed your whole purpose.
Like, how do you make that make sense, right? Yeah. And so it became very apparent to me that I'm like, okay, I've seen the statistics. All of these kids that are in sex trafficking are not stolen. They're not sold. Some of them willingly go. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we can't save everybody already there. Yeah. But how do I keep this number low? Mm-hmm. And then that goes into, how do you teach people to be in the kitchen? Mm-hmm. That this is a learning opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to share something about your life. This is how you think about back in the days, how your grandmother told you stories. You learn recipes because they were said, not because they were written. Mm-hmm. And so that has become super huge for me. And I thought it was going to be the engaging the kids in the kitchen part until I encountered their parents. Okay. And then it became wait, nobody engaged you either. Uh-huh. So you don't know how to do this. Uh-huh. You can't engage your baby because nobody engaged you. Yeah. And so that opens up a whole different level of, okay, communication in the kitchen is going to be so necessary in teaching people things, or understanding that, yes, I have all these skills as a chef. Mm-hmm. It's a skill set. Yeah. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's literally just a skill set. Nothing else. Mm-hmm. And what people have to understand is, when you encounter somebody on a mindset level, like, it doesn't matter how long you've been talking to me, I'm gonna jump into your heart. Yeah. And I'm gonna ask you questions that make you uncomfortable a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's okay. Yeah. You can tell me. And then we're gonna go have some cake. Like, it's totally fine. It's totally okay. But people have to understand that's okay. And it took me about 5 years to get through that, because once I came out and told my family I had been molested, nobody wanted to hear that. Some things you take to the grave. That's where generational curses lie.
That you're not lying.
That's why we have them.
Yeah.
So not on my watch. Not on my watch. It won't. It's okay if you don't want to accept that it happened. That doesn't change the fact that it did.
That it did happen.
And when I accepted that everybody wasn't going to be okay with me sharing my story, oh, my life was so much better. It was so much better, because now I no longer live for you.
Too. Yeah.
I don't live my life for you. I live my life for me and the ones coming after me. And I also realized that legacy doesn't necessarily have to be in your family.
Oh, wait, say that again.
Your legacy doesn't have to be in your family.
Okay. What does that mean?
So, like, when I think about these young ladies I've encountered, and you want to use cookie decorating to have a conversation with your mom to tell her why you left home 6 months ago and all the things you've seen over the last 6 months, you want to do that because I taught you how to decorate a cookie. Because I was open and honest and didn't judge you as a person for your decision. Right? And so I was like, wait a minute. I may never see that girl again, but I just changed her bloodline.
Ooh, girl, you better say it now. Wait a minute. When you think about it like that,
it's bit like, I'm like, this is bigger than what people want to call it. And I was like, no, I need you to, like, my kids fully they say it all. They've been saying it before I saw it. Right? Like, my daughter is always the one just sitting in the corner. She never says anything. And she's like, those girls told me how lucky I was that you're my mom. And I said, why? And she was like, I don't know. I guess because you're being you. And then my son was like, no, because you're being you.
Yeah.
Because you don't judge people when you look at them. You understand and you can relate to them and you can say, no, it's okay. You don't have to be what other people said you were going to be.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting to kind of watch things unfold, and literally based off of yes. I say it on my podcast all the time. Somebody else is waiting on your yes. And my yes to go on, like, I had a dream that I went to Le Cordon Bleu.
Somebody else is waiting on your yes.
Like, I went to sleep. I had a dream, and at Le Cordon Bleu back in the day, used to ring a bell, right? And that's what was on the little infomercial. And I rung the bell, and I sat up, and I was like, I need to call the school. And literally within 6 hours, I had dropped out of my master's program, gone to Le Cordon Bleu, taken their entrance test, passed it, and rang the bell. And nobody knew. Nobody knew. Nobody had a clue. And so when I started telling people this is what I'm doing, they were like,
yeah. You all right, sis? That's when it looks different.
When we look at it, like 10 years later, the number of children I've encountered, the number of parents that I've encountered and still have yet to encounter. I'm like, my time isn't up yet. The platform is just now blowing up.
Yeah.
So there's much work to be done. And I think that we take advantage. Like, people don't, when you have everything, you don't think about the fact that a conversation in the kitchen is worth more to a child than the latest pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Even down for their parents, because for me as a single mom, ain't nobody paying my bills.
But you.
The child support is not that much. Like, this is not, no. Like, my kids get that. That child support goes in their bank accounts. It's child support. It goes in their accounts, but I support my children. And so when I took on the position that I am not a victim, that the things that I do in my life, because that used to be my thing, was the victim mentality. Like, oh, all of this is happening to me, where you have no personal accountability of the role you played and what's currently happening to you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Everything ain't the devil's fault, right? So as I kind of journeyed through that process and got to the place of self-correction, like
Yeah,
people are
that's
like,
where I am right now. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I will very quickly be like, oh, why do we feel like this?
Mm-hmm.
What do we need today? Like, sis, what is it? Because I can no longer turn to my husband and say, I need XYZ.
That's right.
That's not your job.
That's
It's
right.
my job to know how to check myself and be like, now, how does this help our future self? And if it does not align with my highest self, then it doesn't get done. So, but it takes the journey to get there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I did not wake up like this. It took a while to get here. I promise.
Yeah. An experience, right? It took.
It is.
Oh, wow.
It does.
It took the experience. It takes the self-reflection. It takes the self-correction. It takes the real truth with the hard truth with yourself. I'm in that place and space right now. And let me tell you, sometimes it will wear me out. But I think it's going to be, next to having my son, some of the best work that I've ever done. You know, it's that part for
incredible.
me. It's that part. So I've got to show this post. I'm hoping I can share this. So, like I said to you all, let me see. Share my screen. 2 monitors. Let's see if this is going to work. Yes. Share. Perfect. Okay. So here is the post, everybody, that she actually posted. And now that I'm going to try to make it bigger. Let's see. That's too big. I'm going to leave it there. So when I saw this post, it was your face. It was, when I look at you, there was really no conviction. It was really just ownership and acceptance. And you look so liberated to me. And I just kept, you don't understand. Like, I just kept watching it over and over in a loop. And I'm pretty sure it was probably the place and space that I was in that day at that time. And like I said, I've been grappling with really coming to terms with a lot of the things that have happened in my life, both welcomed and unwelcome. You know, like you said, the devil didn't do it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Devil didn't do it all. Some of it was certainly me, you know. Some of it was certainly me, but I'm looking at your post. 12-year-old me would be happy to know after 25 years, I told her story. 16-year-old me would be happy to know the boys stopped seeing us as one of the boys. Okay. 21-year-old me wouldn't believe that the baby she had is a living legend and is taking the world by storm. 25-year-old me would be so proud to know we not only finished college, but culinary school and got a master's in education. Okay, it's that part. Yep. And then lastly, 40-year-old me would be hella proud that we survived the divorce, we published a book, and we made 6 figures with no end in sight. It's the no end in sight for me. It's the fact that this isn't even final, that I'm still on this journey, right?
We're just getting started.
We're just getting started. And like you said, you have, so one, this right here was everything, sis, right? And this is like the vulnerability that I find that I'm drawn to with Black women, because we will put on the cape, we will struggle in silence, we will think that we are the only ones, right? And it's when I learn about, because I'm just looking at you like, oh, that's the celebrity chef, and sis is doing her thing. Sis has a whole past, and sis has all these layers that lend themselves to who and what she is today, right?
Yeah.
So it was just the post for me. This is the kind of posting, when you have to share post,
Yeah.
and open up a little bit about yourself, like make it meaningful. Like,
Yeah.
that's just kind of where I am with it. But yeah, it was that post for me. So with what I said about it not being the end for you, like I know that you have, of course, the photography business, but you're
Mhm.
also a podcaster,
Yes.
right? You are a junior leaguer, of course I know. What else do you have your hands in?
Oh God.
You wrote a book, clearly,
I
so you're an
did.
author.
I'm an author. So I wrote a book about the fact that what do you do after cake? It's called Life After Cake. And it's really a guidebook to help people transition out of the cake world, but technically it doesn't necessarily have to be for cake. It's just a book for transitioning careers. But the more I think about it, it's probably just transitioning where you are in life in general. Like it asks you questions to kind of help you define who your best level self is. Like I don't like to be like, who you're going to be in the future, because you can make some good or bad choices to determine that. What does your highest level self look like? And so the book kind of deals with that. I am working on a textbook for children that's dealing with baking. And so that will be coming out soon because I have little people around me who want to know all the things about baking. But I'm also doing content creation after this weekend, probably a lot more public speaking, and just I don't know, I guess trying to be a vessel and be used wherever the universe takes me, because I didn't know this is what I was going to be doing. And so I think it's the fact that I am very human. And I treat other people as humans, and I demand nothing but excellence out of people wherever I go. I don't care if I just met you. There's a certain way you're going to approach me, right? And so being able to do that all of the time, I'm just like, hey, what else are we gonna do? I don't even know. I don't know what's next. And when you have a kid who he's literally a legend, he's the youngest TEDx Broadway speaker ever. Like, I wasn't kidding when I put that in there. So when I think about, like, he's a living legend. Literally.
I have to look your young king up. I've got to look him up.
He's like there are college professors who use his TED Talk while they're teaching at 17 years old. His name is Marshall Ware Mabry IV.
Marshall Ware, it's the name for me.
The power behind the name. Yes.
Listen.
Marshall Ware Mabry IV.
How do I spell his last name?
M-A-B as in boy, R-Y.
He popped up.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's there all over the place doing all the things. He's a Shakespearean actor.
Okay.
His TED Talk compared Shakespeare to Black Lives Matter. And it was literally phenomenal, right? Like to the point that I did not hear his TED Talk until he delivered it. So everybody on my row, like we were all sitting there together, like it's gonna go one or two ways, and it was incredible and it was impactful. And we went to dinner later that evening. I'll never forget it, and I tell him this all the time. Alton Fitzgerald White is the longest running Mufasa on Broadway, and that man looked at me in my soul, like he looked through me, and said, "There's no way you've raised this child and you don't have a story the world needs to hear." And I was like, I'm just a homeschool mom. I don't know what to tell you. And he was like, I'm going to say it one more time. There's no way you raised that child and you don't have a story to tell. And that was kind of the moment for me where I was like, you got to come out of victim mode in order to understand who you are in this earth. Because in victim mode, the world happens to you, right? You downplay what you've done or who you are. I had all the degrees by the time my son did this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was already this person that I am, but I had not stepped into her yet.
Yeah.
She existed. She had a cute resume,
Yeah.
but the power wasn't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I had to go, like turning 40, it was a thing for me. And
Mm-hmm.
like I just woke up and I was like, you know what? I ain't living for nobody else no more. Like this is gonna be all me.
Mm-hmm.
And that led me into the photography. That led me into understanding that Black women aren't in this space that I'm in. I'm gonna learn everything from these people teaching me everything for free.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go teach it to other people. Like there are ways for people to elevate if they
Mm-hmm.
want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that all the time. If you want to learn, I'm gonna teach you. But if
Yeah.
you got excuses, I can't deal with it. Like
Yeah.
you still in victim mode, and I need you to come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah. And but it's, and you say it so humbly, like that's just kind of what I do. I don't even know what to call. I don't even know what to call all of it when you package it all together. You know what I'm saying? It's more than favor. It's more than a calling. It's, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know what to, but I know that it is uniquely designed. And like just listening to your story, just that it is all designed perfectly.
Yeah. And
I can't wait to get to mine. I can't wait to really have a full understanding of what my perfect design is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it doesn't, like, you don't, like, I wasn't looking for it. It just kept happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, once you, like, for me, once I came out of, because like when we got divorced, and I think that transition is what did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
People expect you to dog out your ex. Like they expect you to be hurt. And
Mm-hmm.
I was not. I was not hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, I mourned the promises that will not be kept. But I did not lose who I am in the middle of this process.
Yeah.
I was Kimberly Houston before you entered my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be her to the day I die.
That part.
So this isn't, for me, being able to make it through that piece. Like when my therapist it was liberating because she gave me permission to be okay with thriving.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we have to give ourselves or give other people permission to be okay with changing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing something you don't want to do, why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I give my kids, and I'm like, I'm giving you permission right now. If this is not what you want to do, you can change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That sets people free because you live under the expectations of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was living under the expectations of people who were no longer living. So when my therapist is like, well, why don't you call up XYZ and tell them how it made you feel when they said this? And I'm like, they died. And she's like, so you in bondage to a ghost?
Yes, that part. That part. Yeah. But it wasn't a lie.
It was true.
Yeah.
She was like, somebody who was no longer living on this earth.
And you're in bondage.
Taking away your ability to live.
Yeah. Golly.
I was like, well, when you put it that way.
No lies told, right?
She was like, write them a letter, burn it if you need to, but you're going to have to let that go because they're not here no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was right. Mm-hmm. And she was like, and even if somebody is on this earth, once you let go of this, you'll feel empowered to let go of them too. And then it was easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I do live my best life. And I am this perky and happy 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm. And it's genuine. It's genuinely the place and space that you're in. You know, you're not putting on an air. That's freedom, sis.
It is. It's so wonderful over here.
Yeah. That is real.
I say that all the time. I'm like, I love it here.
Yeah.
I can't believe I devoted so much of my life trying to prove my worth to other people who really didn't care.
Got to be more careful. Yes, it is that part. It is that part for Jan. It
Yeah.
is that part. But I choose to honor the fact that I am really coming into true purpose at 46. Like, who
Oh
said
yeah.
that it had to happen at 20? Who said it had to happen? Again, go back to your post. That's why it resonated so much.
Yeah.
Um, there you never know when it will happen, right? But you
Mhm.
thank you, for me anyway, I just thank God that it did happen, that I realized that I one listened when something
Mhm.
kept tugging, like, you're designed for greater.
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing. You are designed
Yeah.
for greater. So I'm
Yeah.
glad I finally listened, right? And then to now, be walking in it, and I feel the purpose every day. Like I said, I don't know how it's going to end,
Me
and
either.
I most times don't know what's coming next, you
Right.
know, but it'll come. But I'm just so thankful for the purpose in all of it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, it is, I cannot wait to see my perfect design. This was perfectly designed. I was supposed to see your post. I was supposed to go ahead and be courageous and ask you to sit across from me. I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to hear everything that you were saying tonight about, because what you don't know is you kind of slapped me across the face a couple of
I'm so
times.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. That's the God in it. You were supposed to bring that message to me. So thank you for being obedient and for just saying it, and for,
Yeah.
like you said, being that person who will just say what it is. I'm not going to bite my tongue. You
Mm-mm.
don't, you don't even know when you're blessing someone. So the message was for me. Let me say that to you. Like, this
Oh,
was not a waste of time, because you were supposed to bring that message to me. And I believe that it is also for whoever is going to watch
yeah.
this podcast, for sure. I am just grateful. I am just grateful. I'm grateful that you've had the journey that you've had, so that it could be a gateway for
Yeah.
the women that you have touched, right? And I'm now one of those, right? Um, and I know, you've had the trials, you've had all of the things, you've had the triumphs even, right? But it's all of it that is the gateway for
Yeah.
someone. And what I walk away with tonight is the part where you said everything. One, your yes, right? When you answered to your yes, you then changed a, a bloodline, is what you said,
Yes.
for those that you then went out and you touched and you mentored
Several.
and you talked to and you taught and changing generations. When you think about the legacy work in that way,
Yeah.
right? When you think about it in that way, that is huge, right?
It
And I'm just
is.
grateful for that. I'm grateful that you are already so, connected to that
Yeah.
you're intentional about that. You know what I'm saying? I pray that so many Black girls come your way, and that you are changing trajectories for,
Yeah.
as many of them as you can. I pray God is sending them your way, because that's what's going to make the difference, like, for
It
sure.
is. Yeah.
And I hope you honor that. I want you to, you seem so self-aware, so you probably don't need me to say it, but I'm going to say it, that, I pray you stay plugged in and connected to the real work that you're doing, and
Mhm.
understand, that is God's work, is kingdom work, it's legacy work,
Yes.
it's
It
all of that.
is.
It is
It
all of that.
is.
But in doing all of that too, I want you to make sure that you are still taking care of self and doing what you need to do for self, and continuing to know who you are, because that's how we're blessed, when you stay connected to who
Yeah.
you are. You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
do. And
I'm
that's
just
a
so,
lot to learn.
it is, and it's not easy.
It's
If we
not.
have a real talk right here, it's not easy when you have to go inward and you have to do the work on self. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or
It,
when you have to set boundaries
that part.
so that other people can understand, when I need
Hmm.
you, I'm gonna ask for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people give unsolicited advice and
Hmm.
you're like, Like I remind myself on a daily basis, I'm a whole grown up that gave birth to 2 humans. And they're still alive. Like, girl, you a grown up. You know, everybody doesn't need to mother you.
Yeah. Ooh, see, that just,
you know what I mean? It's one of those things where I'm like, I respect all of the elders. But sis, I have birthed 2 humans.
Yeah.
And one of them got more credentials than you got. So I'm gonna need you to let me do me.
Yeah.
When I need your help, I'll ask for it. And that has been the biggest lesson for me, is in understanding that asking for help is not a weakness. Because of that strong Black woman.
Yep.
I don't need you. I can do this by myself. Well, let's be real. When you lose the feeling in your fingers, that's humbling.
Yes.
That is I cannot open doors. Like, that's the tell. People close to me know I've worked too much if I can't turn a doorknob. When I'm like, can you come open the door for me? I don't have the strength to turn a doorknob. And my mother is like, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
What do you need? Or now we just get to the point where you don't have to ask me what I need. Like, I'm so self-aware that my phone is on Do Not Disturb. So when you have called me twice and I have not answered, but you call my children and they're like, oh, she's in her room watching Hallmark.
Yep.
Boundaries. Listen, right now I'm over here in La La Land watching Hallmark. Because I believe that love still exists. So I'm going to watch Hallmark. Boundaries. Like, let me go to my happy place. And I think people think boundaries are bad. Boundaries are wonderful.
And necessary.
Necessary. Like, you got to carve out 10, 15 minutes. What's your boundary?
Yeah.
Like, figure out what it is. Tell everybody around you. And then go on about your business and not feel guilty about it. I think that has been super liberating for me. I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah. So unapologetic. And I can tell in this position, you're like...
When I say, I have so many shirts that are like, respectfully mind your business, unapologetic. Like, I don't even have to say it. As soon as you encounter me, this one says wildly grateful though, because I am. But like, you can already tell. Like, what is there to talk about, beloved? And my son is always like, anytime you say beloved, we know.
Yeah. That means you have officially been checked. You need a shirt to say, I said what I said.
I got one that says, try Jesus, not me.
Not me. Got that one.
I just, I'm just like, I'm a quiet storm. I just sit over here and I do me. And I'm like, there's so much more to do. Like, there's so much more work to do, which is why I'm always like, I haven't arrived yet. Yeah. Like, we just getting started.
That's the fun part.
We just getting there.
The fun part. For sure. Yeah. Well, you are awesome. Guys, I want you all to please check out Chef Kimberly and all her greatness. You can follow her at Chef Kimmy Who on IG, and make sure you pay attention to the spelling, because there is an I, so it's ChefKimihou. And that's your name. You say you shorten your name, right?
Yeah, we shorten my name, Kimberly Anise Houston.
Okay.
So
love
Kim
it.
Kim
so I okay. I love it. And then her website, is, now, do I have the right website up? Because I will fix it if I don't.
It's chefkimihou.com.
Let me change it. Because we believe in doing it right over here.
There's multiple. That's the main one. It will take you everywhere you need to go.
Okay.
But I have Chef Kimmy Who, which is a blog. It links to the podcast. And the Baking Mama podcast is like this. It's like me, as people tell me, stepping on their toes all the time. I don't edit it, so whatever comes up comes out, and then I post it. It's fun. So it's normally about business or entrepreneurship or single mom life. But I also have teachmehowtobake.com. which literally teaches you how to bake.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
also where the photography classes are. And then I have mycookieschool.com,
Uh-huh.
because cookies are the reason I went to culinary school. And I was like, I want to be the best cookie maker ever. Like, that was the whole point of going to school. And
Mhm.
so, even though that didn't happen, now I have a whole blog dedicated just to cookies.
You have a whole blog, all of the places. So you, like I said, she has so many
Yes,
pieces to her brand.
there's
Um,
layers.
there are layers to it for sure, but because you have all of the pieces, you know, those of us who want to plug into you, we can sort of see where
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to fit in,
Pick and
right?
choose.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you pick and choose. Y'all, I learned from her with the podcast. It is what it is.
it
She
is
was
what it
like,
is.
I don't edit this. What? Mm-mm.
Why?
Jansen tries to edit, and guess who won't be editing tonight?
No, that's extra energy.
It is. It is.
And I've learned that preserving my energy is what
Mhm.
helps me stay the way I am.
Yeah,
You can't
which is
have
your
this.
authentic self. Your
Yeah, like
authentic self.
you can't steal my joy when I'm protecting it.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
I'm gonna say what I got to say and hit post.
And that's that on that. And whatever the people get, the people get. That was me with my red
Right.
lip today. I sat down, I was like, dang, forgot to put on a red lip. Guess what? It is what it is today.
It is. And it's
It is what it is today.
okay.
Yeah.
People love you more.
Uh-huh.
They
When
love you more.
yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
like, if you see me in person, you're gonna get this. This is
Uh-huh.
what you're getting. It's not gonna be any different.
What there's another shirt. What you see is what you get with you.
It is. And I
It's
love
what it
it.
is. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, you have been a joy to chat with. I will be looking into classes. Um, yeah, following the podcast, like all of the things. I am so grateful
Yes.
that I was able to connect with you. Once you sit on the Bella Grind podcast, you become a part of this family and this community. So it's on and popping now, Kim. Like you
I'm
can't,
excited.
you know,
We can do other stuff. Like we
we
need
can
some
do all
round
the
table
things.
talks.
Listen, we're getting ready to do all the things. Do you understand?
I'm here for
Like
it.
I said, you can see where I know for me, I see where I can plug in. So
Yeah.
I can't wait. I see collaborations happening. I see all of the stuff. So I'm just grateful to you, sister. Keep shining. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Keep blessing. And like I said, gee, the legacy work for me, just stay with it because
Listen.
that
Just say
part right
yes.
there. Yeah, look, this ain't it. Please follow the Bella Grind podcast. You can check us out on all streaming platforms if you like to listen to your podcast. But if you like to see our beautiful melanin faces, then please follow us over at Bella Grind TV on YouTube. Remember, if you are a lady, to act like a lady, everybody think like a boss, and stay on your beautiful grind. Peace. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.